Welcome, beautiful mamas. I am your host, Shay Harrison. This podcast is a place for Springfield and local surrounding area mamas to share their stories about life, motherhood, and everything in between, completely judgment-free. I am so excited to be able to share these stories with you and give women an opportunity to be heard. So if you're ready to laugh, open your mind, and be part of a supportive sharing community, let's crack on. All right, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks.
Awesome. So let's crack on. We will just cover off with who you are, how many kids you've got, and how old you were when you've had them and your relationship status.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm Alicia. I'm 33. I have a 2.5-year-old son. So I was 30 when I had him.
You got to do the math. Get that calculator out.
And I am married.
Nice. How long have you been married?
2012. So what's that?
7 years? 8 years? 9 years?
Yeah, a lot of years.
9 years? I think it's 9.
9 years, yeah.
12. Yeah, I'm not good at maths. Everybody knows that.
I think we just had our 9-year anniversary.
Oh, that's awesome. Happy years? Have they all been happy years?
Yeah.
Good. So 32 when you had your son. That's super exciting. Is he a good kid?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, they're always good, aren't they?
Always good kids.
Sweet. So what are you... I know what you're coming on to talk about today, but let's tell everyone what story you're coming on to tell today.
Okay, so I'm going to be talking about my birth story.
Yep.
And I've decided to do this for 2 reasons.
Yep.
First reason is you only ever hear about terrible birth stories. Everyone wants to tell you their horror story. Mine's quite the opposite. So I wanted to talk about that. And also secondly, I feel like as a mum, if you haven't had a horror story, like the horror birth story, you feel really invalidated.
Yeah.
So I just want to be able to validate everyone who hasn't gone through that terrible birth and pregnancy time.
Do you feel that people aren't so interested in your story when it's easy, or just explain how you don't feel validated?
It more just gets like shrugged off.
Yeah,
more like, oh, well, it was too easy for you, like you didn't really have a baby.
Yeah, or like you've got nothing to add to this conversation because yours was a good experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of yeah, okay. I had a shitty story, so I cannot like sympathize at all with having a good birth story. So this will be really good to hear. Awesome. Okay. So you were 30 when you had Felix?
Yes.
Sweet. So let's start from kind of conception. Was that all really easy for you?
Absolutely. So we were worried. We thought it would take a good 6 months to fall pregnant. I was, when we weren't ready to have a baby, terrified of falling pregnant.
Yes.
So I was on a lot of contraception. And when I started, I was on the implant, the one that goes in your arm, as well as on the pill at the same time for 15 years.
Oh, wow. That is a long time.
Yes.
So how long have you been with your husband for as well?
We started dating in 2006.
Okay, so you've been together with him for a long time. So most of your relationship, you've been on contraception.
Yes, absolutely. So we were terrified of falling pregnant. So
understandably,
when we got to the point where we were like discussing children, I got the implant taken out. Mm-hmm. I continued on the pill. Mm-hmm. It was sort of more so we were at a point where we didn't want children, but if we fell pregnant, what of it? Like it didn't really matter, but we weren't planning it. We then had a few discussions obviously in the following, I think 3 years about there's
a lot of thought that's gone into this baby, isn't there?
There is. I stopped taking the pill. Obviously you stop taking the pill and you have a period. I don't count that as a real period. That's just, it happens.
Like just a cyclic thing.
Okay, I had one period and then I was pregnant.
Yes.
So that was a surprise. We thought it was going to take a good 6 months.
Yeah. Fertile.
I later found out that my mother is super fertile.
Oh, okay then. How many siblings do you have?
I only have one.
Oh, okay then.
Yeah. But
just it was easy.
Very easy for her as well. So we were really surprised that it didn't take very long. But
there are, like you said, a lot of horror stories, not just about birth, but about people being on the pill and taking them 12 months, sometimes longer, to fall pregnant because it takes their body that long to come back. And if you're double bagging, if you have got 2 of those bad boys running through your system, I can understand why you were concerned that it might take longer.
So conception, really easy. Hubby was not impressed. He wanted more practice.
Don't they all? Even when it takes 12 months, they still want all that practice.
Yep.
That's so good.
And then my pregnancy was really uneventful. No cravings except vodka. I craved vodka.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Were you a big party girl before falling pregnant? Was vodka your go-to
Vodka
drink?
is my go-to.
Oh, okay then.
But I craved vodka. But that was it. I had 2 food aversions, which was burgers. I love burgers. And lamb mince. And I love lamb as well. So
I can understand lamb mince though, because it's definitely got a very...
Yeah, just the smell to it. Yeah. I couldn't be in the house when it was cooked. I couldn't eat it. And the burgers, it was devastating.
Oh, no.
Yeah. But that was it. And then throughout my pregnancy, I did get SPD symptoms.
Okay, yep.
But never diagnosed. And
so do you want to just run through, so not everyone knows what SPD is?
So SPD is symphysis pubis dysfunction. Pretty sure. Yep.
Well done.
And it's basically where, from what I'm aware of, is where you get too much relaxant hormone in your hips and pubic area. Those ligaments relax way too much and it causes a lot of pain.
It is definitely relaxant is something that contributes to SPD. It can also be posture shifts as your belly pushes forward, standing poorly, pressure through your pelvis. So there are lots of things. Relaxant is definitely one of those causes. So you've nailed it. Yeah.
So I got those symptoms, but not as bad as a lot of people do get it. I know some people are wheelchair bound when they get it. I could still walk. I was pole dancing until I was 6 months pregnant. I was still going to boot camps 3 times a week, so I was still very active even though I had those symptoms. So my pregnancy was really uneventful. Very straightforward. I always measured perfectly on the 50th percentile. What do you call him? He's my perfectly average baby. Yeah. Because he was perfectly average the whole pregnancy. Yeah. So very uneventful.
Yeah.
And then when I went into labour, I had no idea.
Oh, really?
No idea. So throughout my pregnancy, I'd heard of this mystical thing called silent labour.
Yes.
And everyone's like, it doesn't exist. It's not real. You're going to know when you're in labour. And I'm like, well, you know what? I want a silent labour. And if I lose friends over it, I'm okay with that.
What is silent labour?
When you don't know you're in labour.
Yeah.
You don't feel it. Like, you have no idea.
Yeah. Did you lose friends? Not really.
I mean, well, actually, yes.
Oh,
but
really?
not over that.
Okay.
Not over that.
Yeah.
I think you find when you have children, you will lose friends.
Yeah, priority shift.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, I did lose friends after I had the baby.
But not because of silent labour.
No, not because of silent labour.
That's fine then.
So I think I was 39 weeks and 4 days when I went into labour.
Yeah.
That morning I went and got acupuncture. I went induction acupuncture. And I'd been getting acupuncture throughout my pregnancy for the SPD symptoms and stuff like that. So we'd moved, because I was 39 weeks into that induction phase. I did have a joke with my acupuncturist that, am I going to go into labour when I get off the table? And she laughed, walked out, said, no, you're not. Don't be stupid. It'll take a few days. Anyways, got off the table and I had a cramp. And I was like, oh, whatever. It was mild, period type cramp. And I was like, it's obviously just from the acupuncture, prepping everything. Yeah. Thought nothing of it. Was getting them all day. And so that was at midday. I have my acupuncture appointment finished at midday. I went to Baby Bunting, did some shopping, and then went over to a friend's for the afternoon. And I was planning to go to boot camp that afternoon as well.
Oh, wow.
I spent too much time at my friend's house, so I missed out on boot camp.
Oh, lucky though. Can you imagine?
My PT was so happy I missed out that day. But when I was at my friend's house, her little dog, who never sits on me, was on my lap constantly.
Yeah, okay.
And I just said, what's going on? And she's like, oh, it's because you're due soon. That's all it is. She knows that you're due,
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool. Hadn't really thought anything of it. Was still getting the cramping. It was just ignoring it, basically. Went home, went to the toilet, and I noticed I had a bleed. So I called my midwife, as you do. And she was just like, look, it's probably nothing. It's probably just your mucus plug. Don't stress. Take a photo for me. Leave it half an hour. Send it through. And we'll go from there. So I did that. She then called me back and she's like, look, it's probably nothing. I just want to see where you're at. Come into the hospital. And we'll examine you. She said, bring your bags, but I'm going to be sending you home.
Yeah.
Okay, no worries. Hubby was at the gym. He was training a lot at that time. I called him and said, I've got to go to the hospital. And he was like, oh, is it urgent? Do I need to finish? I'm like, no, it's fine. He's like, okay, cool. I'll just finish this set and I'll be home.
Yeah, good. Man, priorities. Just finish it off, mate. Got plenty of time.
We joked about that the entire pregnancy as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he got home. I was like halfway through cooking dinner, which happened to be a really long dinner to cook.
What was it? What were you cooking?
I can't even remember.
Was it lamb mince?
It was chicken. I'm pretty sure it was chicken.
Yeah.
Anyway, he was sort of getting a bit stressy, and he's like, let's just go now. We'll get dinner to a point where we can just put it in the fridge and we'll just go.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, no worries. Went via Macca's.
You're good. Did you get Macca's?
Absolutely.
Obviously not a burger though.
No, chicken nuggets.
Got the nuts.
Yeah, chicken nuggets. When we were there, I was like, oh, my back's a bit sore.
Yeah.
And I'd had a TENS machine.
Yeah, okay.
So I got him to put the TENS machine on me for the drive into the hospital, which was about 20-minute drive from where we lived.
That's not too bad though.
Yeah. So he put that on. I had the best massage the whole way to the hospital, still not thinking anything of my back pain or my cramps. Nothing.
That's insane.
Got to the hospital, got to the labour ward, and they're like, you're not in labour. I was like, I know. Yeah. I know I'm not in labour. My midwife just wants to check me out.
And that's like the safest thing to do.
Yeah.
Rather than, dismissing it. And anyway, please continue.
So like, okay, pop into this examination room here, and we'll get a doctor in to check you out.
Yeah.
Like, okay, no worries. Just hanging out, and one of the midwives, not my midwife, she hadn't arrived yet, but one of the other midwives had come in, and she's like just putting like what are the things they put around your belly, the monitors and stuff?
Yeah, I don't know what they're called, but like with the pink stretchy or the blue stretchy bands.
So she popped those around my belly, and then she's looked at me and she's gone, can you feel that contraction? And I was like, what contraction are you talking about?
Yeah, right.
And she's like, it's a really big one.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I don't know what you're on about. Like, I can't feel anything.
Yeah.
And
so it just felt like a mild period cramp for you?
Mild period cramp.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And she's like, oh, okay. And the doctor came in and he's like, we're just going to do an internal, as they do. I'm like, okay, no worries. He's done his internal. He's looked at me and he's like, are you okay? I said, yeah. Why? And he's like, you're 5 centimeters dilated.
Oh, shit.
And I was kind of in shock, and I was like, okay. And he's like, you're having a baby. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Well, duh.
And he's gone, no, you're having a baby today.
Oh, wow.
And this was about 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I was like 8 p.m. And I was like, oh, I should probably call mum.
Yeah,
That was my first thought. My
was
husband,
she coming to the hospital?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. I had very strict instructions.
Yeah.
No one was to attend the hospital
Just
at all.
Your husband, obviously.
Yes. Me and him only.
Yes, fair enough.
Family were not happy about that.
It's your birth, your baby.
They wanted to be there for support.
Your birth, your baby.
Yeah. They were okay with it, but mum was then stressy. Like, so I've called her at 8 o'clock at night saying, I'm in labour, I'm having a baby.
Yeah, right.
She was apparently saying to my stepdad, I'll just go and I'll sit in the waiting room, just in case like Max needs a break or anything like that. This could take a really long time. My reply to that was, no, I don't get a break. Neither does he.
Absolutely. Why would he? It's a nice thought, very considerate of your mum.
Yeah.
But no.
No.
We are in this situation together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My stepdad stopped mum from coming in, thankfully.
Yeah, good.
And basically said to her, if you go into that hospital, you will not be able to see that child until he's 18. So don't go. And I'm really close with my mum. So I know she was just thinking of the best, but
understandably.
My stepdad was very much on my side and said, Alicia doesn't want this. You can't go in.
Yeah. And that's fair, your birth.
Yeah.
You need it to be not everything goes exactly how you want it when you're birthing, but those things that you can control and that you know that you do and you don't want should be respected.
Yeah.
So good on mums always act in our best intentions.
Yeah.
So you can understand where she was coming from.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not mad.
No, you wouldn't be. But good on your stepdad for reeling her back in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good.
So then I was like, I guess I was in active labour. Now, I am a very relaxed person, as you know.
Yes.
I don't know the actual times of anything. I don't know what time I went into proper labour. I don't know how long I was in labour for. I don't know how long I was pushing for.
Yeah.
I don't have any of that information. I didn't really care for it.
Yeah. I don't either.
But Yeah, at this point, so when I was 5 centimeters dilated, my waters hadn't broken at that point. I was asked, the midwife did ask me to go to the toilet when I went, and she's like, wee in a cup so they could take a sample. I did that, and it was like literally full of blood. So I'd lost a lot of blood.
Do you know why?
No, I just lost a lot of blood.
Okay.
They kind of stressed about that. I didn't.
Was it blood from like your bladder, or was it just blood that had mixed in from
I feel
the
like it
process?
was blood that was just mixed in from the birthing process.
Okay.
And I feel like it looked worse than it actually was, because it was, you know, when you mix blood with water, like...
it goes like 1,000 times further than the tiny little droplet.
Absolutely. So I feel like it was that. So I didn't really care.
Yeah, okay.
And so my waters hadn't broken. So they actually broke my waters. And that's when I remember things started to get serious.
That's when it got serious.
It felt so weird, by the way, having your waters broken.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
People will explain it like a balloon.
Yeah, and just like a gush of water that you
okay.
cannot control.
I spewed and mine broke, so
Yeah,
like
okay.
I was squatted over the toilet, so I was too focused on heaving my guts up. So I don't know what it like. I don't remember, but yeah, right.
Yeah. So it was
Were you standing?
weirdest. No, I was laying down. I was in the bed.
Okay.
Yeah, weirdest sensation I've ever felt.
Yeah.
But yeah, and they were going to give me the drip to start moving things along. Yeah. But that they put the needle in my arm, but they never actually put that drip. They never started it.
Were you stressed, or was baby stressed?
No.
Yeah, okay
Nope.
then.
I don't know why they were doing it. I didn't ask the question.
No.
I was just...
Maybe just to prep.
Yeah.
I don't know either.
Yeah, I don't know. But they never actually started it. I think they started fluids, so I was getting fluids, but a lot of the time, like while I was walking around the birthing suite and everything like that, I was blocking the intravenous, like the cord thingy. So they ended up just taking it out. But yeah, I kind of wandered around for a while. I remember, I wouldn't so much say pain. Like I wasn't wincing in pain and I was still talking throughout the whole thing. I don't remember like contractions as such, where like you see in movies where women just like sort of stop for a moment and can't move or talk or anything. I don't remember any of that happening. I remember sort of being in positions and being like, okay, I can't actually move it. I don't want to be here anymore, but I can't move. It hurts to move, but you know, my husband would just help me get up and move around and stuff like that. He got in trouble off my midwife because at one point he was like, oh, do you want some gas? I think he wanted some gas.
I was going to say, who's the intent for there?
And I remember my midwife saying, no, you're not allowed to ask her that. If she wants it, she will ask for it.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so I was not offered anything. And I was told that during my pregnancy as well. They weren't going to offer it. If I wanted it, I had to ask for it.
Did they explain why? I was offered it.
Yeah, they explained why. Basically because if I'm going through labour and feeling really good about things, and then someone comes up to me and says, oh, do you need some gas? Do you need...
Right.
You then start questioning yourself and second guessing, well, maybe I'm not doing as good as I am.
Yeah, that does make sense.
So yeah, my midwife was very much of the thought of, I'm not offering you anything. If you want it, you ask for it.
Yeah. And that makes sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So my husband got in trouble for offering me gas.
Oh, no.
But I didn't really think anything. I was like, no, I'm fine. I don't need it.
Yeah.
And
you don't seem like the type of person that would start to double guess.
No.
Like, you're very self-aware.
Yeah.
But not everyone is in that same situation, particularly when you're in labour and hormones are going crazy.
Yes. But no, I think I was still really level-headed throughout my labour.
Yeah.
They did end up putting me on the bed to labour on my back. And I kind of questioned it in my head, but I was like, oh, look, these guys, they know what they're doing. Whatever. I'm just going to go with it. Didn't really question them. I don't know how long I was pushing for, but it was hard.
Pushing?
Yes. It was...
So wait, sorry, what position were you in?
I was on the bed on my back.
Still on your back?
Yeah,
okay.
Still on my back. And the midwives, I had 2 midwives in there, were holding my feet up, sort of like in stirrups, so I could push against them.
Yes.
I don't recall it being painful. I recall it being hard, like the most exhausting, hardest thing I've ever done.
Similar to working out, worse.
Yeah.
That exertion.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But the most exhausted I've ever felt in my life.
Yeah.
I did tear. I felt every single inch of that tear, and it was a bad tear.
Do you know what degree?
Nope.
Just a tear.
It was just a tear.
torn.
Yep. I felt that burnt.
Oh.
And I looked at Max and I'm like, it burns.
What did he say?
Don't
remember?
No, he was just like, you're right. Like, he was sort of like being really encouraging throughout the whole process.
That's really good.
It
burns. Isn't it been referred to as burning? Oh, is it burning?
The ring of fire. Yeah. But yeah, that was when I was tearing.
Just the tear?
Just the tear.
Yeah, okay then. Oh.
When I was pushing as well, it was really hard because Felix's head was butting up against my pubic bone.
Yeah, okay then.
So he was coming and then going back up and then coming out and going back up. So he did that for ages. It was probably like a minute, but...
At the time, it is forever.
Yeah.
Yes.
Eventually got him out. The midwife looked at Max and was like, are you catching him? And Max was up at my shoulder and was like, no.
Oh, really?
I actually caught him myself.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I caught him and pulled him up and put him on my chest.
Yeah.
And... at that point, we found out that he was a boy, obviously.
So you didn't know.
So, no, we had no idea. We had, obviously, names picked out, and when I looked at him, I looked down and saw he was a boy, and I looked at Max and like, meet Felix.
Yeah.
Like, this is your son. So,
was that the name that you had already picked?
yes.
Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
then.
So that was the only name that we could agree on.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. For a boy anyways.
Yes.
We had girls' names picked out, but we didn't have boys' names, and it was the only boy name we agreed on.
Yeah.
So he was really excited to find out that he had a little boy.
A little boy.
Yeah, and then he cut the cord.
Yep.
And I just sort of hung out with Felix on my chest, and then the midwife was like, okay, you need to push out the placenta now.
You're like, what?
And I was like, I actually can't.
Oh,
I was so
right.
exhausted. And she's like, no, just a little push, it's fine. And I was like, I've actually got nothing in me. You're going to need to do it yourself.
Is that what you said to her?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
She's like, okay, well, can you give me a cough?
Yeah.
And I was literally like, and that was it. That's all I had in me. I was so exhausted.
Yeah.
But yeah, very uneventful. You know, he breastfed really well, like, you know, found the breast himself. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
Because of how much I bled, like, my plan was to go home from labour ward.
Yeah, okay.
Or birthing suite, whatever.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to leave from there. I think he came he was born at 11:11 p.m. So my whole labour from my very first cramp went for 11 hours and 11 minutes.
Wow.
And active labour, I'm going to say maybe 3 hours.
Yeah, okay.
If
then.
that.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, I ended up having to go into maternity suite.
Yeah.
I had to stay there overnight, which I hated every second of. And then at 5 p.m. the next day, when I still wasn't allowed to go home, I was just packing everything, and midwife was like, you can't go home, the doctor hasn't seen you. I was like, well, the doctor best get in here before I leave because I'm done, I'm going home. Yeah, so, and it was all just easy, I guess.
So did you leave then?
Yep.
Like the doctor came and
the doctor
discharged
came.
you,
Yeah, doctor
gave
came.
you the warning.
Yeah.
If anything goes wrong, come back.
Absolutely.
Do you know
yeah.
how much blood you lost?
No. No idea.
Yeah. Okay.
I probably got told, it's probably in my paperwork somewhere, but my iron levels were fine. So,
yeah, okay.
And that's all they wanted to do. They just wanted to test my iron. It took them like all day to do that.
Right.
So yeah, I was like, I'm done, I'm going home. I just want to be at my home.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah.
That's so good though.
Yeah.
Yeah, not many people do have good stories that are blissful.
Yeah.
It sounds like the whole process for you was, other than the burning ring of fire, but the whole process was enjoyable and you were able to appreciate.
Yeah, and I was able to think through everything. I mean, I didn't ask many questions, but I didn't feel the need to ask questions.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I knew what my options were. I went to those birthing classes and stuff like that. So I knew what my options were when it came to like drugs and birthing and positions and stuff like that. So I just didn't feel the need to ask because I had full faith in my midwife. So,
yeah, right.
And she'd been with me from like through my whole pregnancy.
Yeah.
So until 6 weeks after he was born.
Yeah. And then your recovery was all straightforward,
fine.
even with the tear, no
infections.
infections.
The stitches hurt the most. I needed gas to get stitched up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they did do a local anaesthetic. I still felt everything.
So did you have an episiotomy or just the tear?
No, just the tear.
I don't clearly remember. after my birthing, but I don't think they put stitches in my tear. I had an episiotomy as well.
Okay.
But I could be wrong. Like, I was all a mess,
my tear, just to get nice and gory, went right up and around my clitoris.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I tore up, not down.
I went sideways.
Oh, okay.
Like, towards my thigh.
Yeah.
So maybe, you're right, maybe that's why they stitched it, because of the location.
But I felt every single stitch. No, like, general did not work. Or the local anaesthetic did not work. Felt every single stitch. I was sucking on that gas like no tomorrow, and felt nothing.
Yeah, wow.
Like it had no effect on me, and I still felt everything. So
Goodness.
That was the most painful part.
And then recovery after that as well?
Recovery was fine.
Even obviously you said that stitches were the worst, but the healing of the tear, that was all
the healing of the tear was fine.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no infection, nothing like that.
Wow.
My midwife would check on it.
That must have been a decent length tear then, to go the whole way up.
Yeah.
Did he have a big melon?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can't remember the size of his head, but...
So he was obviously measuring average through your whole pregnancy.
Yeah.
Did he come out an average size?
Yeah, he was born size-wise, like length and weight, around the 50th percentile.
Just with a big melon.
Just with a big head. And honestly, I don't think his head was that big. Like,
no, just it would have. If anything feels big coming out, they tiny little hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Oh, that's really good then, and it's so nice that you can look back and like log.
Yeah.
Everything, and see all the processes that you went through, and that's really good.
And that's the reason why I would tell you that I would rather be in labour again than do 100 burpees.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I don't know which one I'd prefer. I don't mind 100 burpees. Probably I'd pick the burpees. That's so funny. Oh, good. Well, thanks so much for sharing your story.
No worries.
Was there anything else that you remember from the process?
Not
Anything
really.
that Max said?
No,
he just really supportive through the whole thing?
He was super supportive through the whole thing.
That's really lucky.
So he was there the whole time. He generally stayed up around my shoulders and head.
Yeah.
He didn't want to watch his favourite pub burn down, but...
Understandably.
Yeah.
When did your mum get to come and see
the baby as soon as I got home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then.
I just told them they weren't allowed to come visit me in hospital.
Yeah, okay.
That was mine and Max's time to get to know our baby.
Yeah, and that's fair.
So we just had that time together as a family, and then when I was on my way home from the hospital, I called Mum and said, I'm coming home, you can come and visit now.
And was she there when you got there?
Absolutely. The moment we walked in the door, she was behind us.
Oh,
so, yeah.
That's lovely though.
Yeah.
That's really good. Everyone who is a mother of multiples and they go, I don't know. But that's funny. Well, that's it. Thanks so much again.
You're welcome.
It's been really good. I can't wait to put this up and share it with everyone.